Okay, so, all right, so sorry for the delay, everybody. Now I got a stream open.
Let me stream open.
Now I got a stream open. All right, shut this thing off.
You want to shut it down?
Just shut it down.
No, you don't.
It looks like I've got it muted.
No, I mean, do you have the tab open for me to stream it? Because that'll do this. It's recording it here and you're hearing
Oh,
it.
yeah, okay.
It's recording it here and you're hearing it.
Oh, yeah. Ah, there we go. Okay, I apologize for that. So, who we have on the line here, looks a little bit dark, is Chuck Westerheide, who is the Assistant News Director at NBC-San Diego. And they have a partnership going with Voice of San Diego. And before we get Chuck to, he's going to talk for a few minutes and then we can ask him questions. We just wanted to run this one example of a piece that they did. And so there's two reporters in this, and one of them belongs to the TV station and the other from Voice of San Diego. So
We decided to start here at the Wonder Bread building in downtown's East Village. This is where the Chargers say their last best hope for staying in San Diego remains.
As you can see, nothing's happened here yet, but the idea is to clean up this area, remove the bus yards behind me, and build a new stadium. Maybe even a stadium with a roof.
With a roof? Why would they do that? This is San Diego.
A stadium with a roof city could then sell off those properties.
That might make taxpayers more likely to support a new stadium, because even though the NFL and the Chargers would chip in money, taxpayers might be asked for as much as $500 million. So where would the city get that much money? It can't even afford a fully staffed fire station. And unlike other cities, we can't pass a new tax unless more than 2/3 of voters support it. That's unlikely.
The mayor and other stadium supporters want to tap into redevelopment money. But what is that? Well, like everywhere else, property owners downtown pay property taxes. That money goes to fund schools, the county government, and other agencies. But for 2 decades, as property values increased, the additional tax money generated was allowed to stay downtown and be invested in building projects like Petco Park or the new library. That's redevelopment.
This deal for downtown, however, had hit its spending limit, and schools and county government looked forward to receiving the additional funding. But recently, Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher brokered a deal that removed the spending cap. And that means the coast is clear to use more redevelopment funds for a stadium.
At least it was. And then just this month, the new governor said it was time to stop redevelopment across the state. The state was spending too much money to keep schools afloat, while school money was going to these building projects.
It was a shock. Since then, redevelopment agencies across the state have scrambled to try to get these projects approved before he's able to follow through.
Governor Brown is trying to eliminate redevelopment agencies all over the state. And if that happens, our chances of getting something built in downtown San Diego pretty much disappeared.
If redevelopment survives, the mayor has pledged to let San Diegans vote on a final stadium plan in 2012. In the meantime, the Chargers could head north. The billionaire builder of the Staples Center in LA and his company have said they'll foot the bill for a new football stadium in downtown Los Angeles.
In coming weeks, watch for these developments. Will the city rush to get something done with redevelopment before the governor and legislature pull the plug? Will the lobby change to allow taxes for specific projects to be raised with only 55% of the vote, not 2/3? The governor does support that change.
To add more drama, there might not be an NFL season next year. There's a labor conflict ongoing, and if there's no settlement by March, the season could be in jeopardy. That could crush a stadium plan. And that is San Diego Explained.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. And I can explain a little bit about how this partnership came about if you want, and then maybe take some questions and stuff after that.
Sure, and maybe you want to tell us just briefly a little bit about that piece and the elements involved and how that came together?
Well, it starts with, we're partners with this nonprofit group called voiceofsandiego.org. They obviously take donations to, or rely on a benefactor to help them survive, and in return, they do these really large, I would say, large-scale stories that are, similar to newspapers, only they're much more focused. They usually are only focused on the city of San Diego, which is a big city, but it would be like if some were in Boulder there, they wouldn't ever leave Boulder. They would stay right there in that city. And they look at everything through a very detailed lens. So in TV, we take a 30,000-foot view of an awful lot of stuff. We try and center our stories on people. Voice of San Diego is down at ground level doing stories and stuff that TV would never touch, probably wouldn't normally want to touch, but where we can really team up is on explaining something that's of a big scale to people. And oftentimes our pictures help their explanations go much better. They also do something with us called the San Diego Fact Check, where they take a politician's statement usually, or someone's statement, and see how true it is. And it means they have to do a lot of research on it, which is, again, something that a TV station just doesn't have the budget or manpower to do. So in this piece, we're looking at the city of San Diego really needing a stadium for the Chargers. The Chargers play in Qualcomm Stadium, which, while nice, especially if you remember from when Denver was here playing in the Super Bowl, only holds about 55,000 people for a regular game. It leaks when it rains. That doesn't rain all that often here, but the NFL has said they don't want to bring a Super Bowl back to that stadium. They would put San Diego presumably on a list of rotating cities to have the Super Bowl if it had the right stadium to host it. They love as a city, bringing the event here. They just don't like playing the game in our stadium. So they've looked at a number of different ways to finance a stadium, and that's some of the explanation there.
Okay, I was interested that one of the video reporters was from Voice of San Diego, so I was curious if they have the sort of the video talent to. You want to talk about that?
I would say almost none. They have one person on the staff, and it wasn't Scott Lewis, the guy you saw, who has some very limited television experience. But for the most part, they are newspaper-type reporters. And really, I would say that kind of short shrifts them a little bit. They're really multimedia reporters, and that's where everything is headed right now, where they don't necessarily feel uncomfortable engaging in debates on, say, Twitter or in social media in some way, or having a voice or feeling like they have a voice on any kind of debate. And because they only focus online most of the time, except when they're doing something with us, they can then take somebody's questions and answer the question in the piece. So it really works out well for them. It doesn't work out so well for us all the time, but it's a great partnership, and it really adds some depth to our reporting.
Okay, great. Do you want to say anything more about what you can about the financial arrangements of the partnership, and then I'll open it up and have people ask you questions if that's okay.
Right. The first off, we deal with Voice. We were really lucky to get into a partnership with Voice of San Diego. They came along at a time when we needed some help, kind of beefing up some of our stuff, and we didn't really know what the partnership was going to look like, and traded story ideas back and forth at first. And now, I would say about 4 days a week, we've got somebody from Voice of San Diego on our air in some form or fashion. Most of the time, it falls into these pre-produced pieces because they're not comfortable with TV, where they can tape something and feel comfortable delivering the information in a concise way. We pay them essentially half of what we get paid to sponsor the pieces, and they are basically sponsored by the advertiser, but they are not beholden to them in any way. we essentially just give them half the check that we get. We act as, a clearinghouse, is a way of speaking, to kind of fund them as just another benefactor. So I think on that piece that you just saw, there's a large steakhouse, Donovan's in town, that sponsors it, and it's because the owner of Donovan's at one time ran for mayor and is very interested in politics. So he supports them on their own side, but he also supports our partnership with them.